All right. Yeah, it's working. Okay. Yeah. So, hello everyone. Hello everyone from Korea and everyone who might be watching the live on Ludium channel or through Twitter. My name is Agon. This is a Road to Global Stage live feature interviewing all the sponsors and all the participating organizations that are participating as special organizations who are working with Ludium's Road to Global Stage. And today we have, how do I pronounce your name, by the way?
Yeah, it's Srijit.
Srijit?
Yeah, that's
Okay.
perfect. Man.
Okay. Srijit from Reclaim Protocol. Reclaim Protocol is a self-sovereign credential issuance protocol that featured powered by ZK and all the amazing state-of-the-art technologies that are out there. And Ludium is right now building open source educational modules and trying to start the lecture featuring how builders should be able to utilize Reclaim SDK to build their own applications for the users. So I have myriads of questions myself because I thought like first time I was looking at the tech and like now that I'm studying it, it's really exciting for myself and like I'm sure all the viewers out there are probably going to be as excited as I am. But before further ado, let me start by asking you the first question, which is, yeah, can you briefly introduce yourself and more specifically how you got into crypto?
Yeah, for sure. So I am Srijit. I currently lead growth for Reclaim Protocol and also Facebook, which is another product within the same team. That's a grants management tool. And my story into crypto was pretty. So I was doing engineering in university, and all my friends got into coding. And for some reason, I mean, when I say coding, it was oriented towards getting a job at a company. So it was like, they were learning data structures, algorithms, and I did not see myself passionate about doing that. And I loved a lot of the activities where um, I love doing activities where there's heavy in like operations management, product thinking, and things like that. So I thought, all right, let me try to get into something that's more non-tech oriented as an engineer. And so I was excited about that. Then, as I was kind of studying my way through, I dived into, ironically, QuestBooks Discord server. That was how I got introduced to Web3. So I saw a thread by one of the founders of QuestBook on what Web3 is and how they would explain it to their mom. And I got interested. I was like, all right, that's very interesting because it was put in a very simple but like easy to way understand. So I joined the Discord server. I started contributing to the channels. I started talking, started engaging with a bunch of folks. I got myself like a small team that we used to like try to build stuff together. And then eventually I also met one of my seniors in my university. He actually founded his own Web3 product agency that built out products for the Polygon ecosystem. And luckily, when I reached out to him, they needed somebody to manage their projects, like as a project management intern. So I joined in as an intern. I learned a lot of stuff because in an agency, you do like a bunch of different projects, bunch of different products. Everything is different. Clients are different. Scope is different. The people you work with are different. So I learned a lot over a span of 1.5 years where I was an intern. I turned full time, stayed there for 6 months. And then eventually I felt like I wanted to like, make a change. I was very like, I did a lot of 0 to 1 work with crypto and I wanted to do a 1 to 100 work, which is
Mm,
take a product that is
interesting.
focused and now try to bring that to 100. And that fits my Reclaim fit my role, I mean, requirement perfectly because what Reclaim it's a very new product, it's a very new technology, but it's live, it's
Right,
usable.
right.
And now I'm trying to help scale that as much as possible.
Yeah, I mean, there. so many things that are really interesting as a life advice, as a the story that you unfolded today, because mostly the audiences we have are builders anyway, and are trying to transition their career into Web3. So as a Ludium, as an educational organization, provide education and contests for transitioning their career. And you pointed out, the first thing that you pointed out that seemed really interesting for me is that how you got into crypto, because you have an engineering background, but in order to do the tech and be more close to tech, if you go to the corporations, you might be submerged in the paperworks and all the, well, if not bureaucratic, some of the non-technical, even though you might be an engineer, engineering in tech, and you joined in because you wanted to focus more heavily on the tech itself, and that seemed really interesting. The first thing that was really interesting, and second thing that was really interesting for me is how you got into Questbook and eventually to Reclaim, because you it's not like you applied as a job candidate or submitted your resume or something like that. You just joined in casually to Discord and started working, or started I guess participating as a community member, and then you got into the growth activity of things. And am I taking that correctly? Because those are the things that I tell the builders, especially in Korea, because Korean corporate culture is pretty strict, and going into Web3 might be daunting for the newcomers, and it doesn't seem conventional for some reason, and your story seemed to be perfectly befitting for that reason.
Yeah, I mean, exactly. In a sense, yeah, because when I first contributed, which was in 2022, early end of 2021 December to 2022 March April, I was contributing to the Questbook Discord server. I mean, I was doing some any quests or tasks that they might have bounties. So I got in touch with somebody from the team. I got in touch with Rachel from the team back then in 2022, and I still kept in touch with them. I helped them whenever they needed some side quests, tasks, bounties done, because I really liked what they were doing.
Mm-hmm.
And so what happened was, it was a natural transition. It was not I wasn't applying like a job candidate that I saw a role that I applied to in a portal. No, it was not like that. I wanted to transition, and I wanted to go to a team that, a team that I believe is going from 1 to 100 soon.
Right.
And I reached out to my connect, Ruchil, and I asked him, hey, is there any opening for me to join them in their team? And it was super smooth. There was no interview or anything.
Mm-hmm.
It was a direct join.
Mm-hmm.
And things have been super great since then.
Yeah, I mean, that must be telling something about the Questbook team, and which soon became Reclaim. And as you're saying, it's rather than a 0 to 1 product, as you're saying, it's a 1 to 100 product. And so I think it's a perfect segue to try to dive more into what Reclaim Protocol is. Could you explain to me what Reclaim Protocol is and what it does?
Yeah, for sure. So I like this one line which I described Reclaim Protocol, which is, I think of Reclaim Protocol as the API of the internet. And it's the reason I say that is, what Reclaim does essentially is it's a ZK protocol that helps you get access to any data on a third-party website in a permissionless manner, because we're built on top of TLS. And that's why I kind of call it the API of the internet. Because maybe Steam or maybe Uber or maybe Amazon, they don't have APIs, or maybe their APIs don't give you all the information you want. And that's where Reclaim comes into play, which is, if you integrate Reclaim into your product, you can get access to any of those information from any of those platforms, regardless of whether they want to give an API, whether they have an API, it doesn't matter, because we are built on top of the HTTPS protocol itself, which makes what they do, it doesn't matter. Essentially, we're not bypassing them. We're literally just helping users kind of share their own data in the most privacy preserving and safe manner.
Yeah, I mean, that seemed to be really exciting for the builders, because we use data everywhere, and like we have all these like data dispersed in all these different like platforms, and like let's say Twitter like handle, or like Discord handle, and like some of the things that can be proving who you are and can be very valuable, sometimes an asset, or sometimes if not an asset, at least like some way of proving yourself, and that like you don't have the capacity to fully utilize that. And now as a builder and as a user, you are like through Reclaim protocol, you have your you restore your rights in a way. That's why I personally like the word self sovereignty, because like I mean, I guess I'm just like I'm crypto headed person, so and and I mean I really like the way you put it as well, like the API of internet, and like that restoration, I think, is really interesting feature that Reclaim protocol seem to provide for all the users and the builders out there.
Yeah, I mean, there's so much that you could build on top of another platform's data, especially things like Facebook, Amazon. They have so much of your information that could be very valuable to another business to build on top of them. But so far through the decades, they've always been inaccessible. They made sure that you couldn't share your own data to anybody else, and even if they did, it was like through the most difficult methods, where you'll have to go through five pages of buttons and pages to click export to a CSV sheet, which wouldn't even make sense. So yeah, there's like a whole bunch of complications. But now, we're like you said, it's all about self-sovereignty. It's your data, so you should be able to take it anywhere. You should be able to share it anywhere, and you should be able to choose what you share. That's a whole problem with the other side, with like APIs. You don't really choose what you can share, because if Steam decides that through their API they can get all this data, you can't do anything. You're just gonna have to share your data. You can't choose what you want to share. But if it's through Reclaim, it doesn't have to be that way. If you don't want to share your phone number, but you're okay with sharing an email ID, you could choose that. It's up to you.
Yeah, and now that we're tackling the freedom that Reclaim Protocol provides, the two things. One thing is a convenience, in terms of like, instead of going through like 5 different like authentications that are unnecessarily provided by the platform, you can directly integrate Reclaim Protocol and be able to retrieve the data. And the other one is the I guess customizability of the data that you can retrieve, as you were saying, like within the web page you can choose which data that you would like to retrieve. And I guess perhaps the third thing is privacy aspect of things, that your data will not be disclosed to the person who are retrieving, and to the platform that you're providing. I guess segues me to the next question, which is, so from the perspective of the builder, how does it look like at the current stage and maybe in the future? Because if I guess as a developer, if I want to use Reclaim SDK, what does it look like, and how will the user experience Reclaim SDK if I integrate it into, let's say, my website?
Yeah, no, it's super simple, and actually there's a couple of updates that we have that I think would be super interesting. First, the integration itself is like 20 lines of code. It's an SDK. You just got to copy paste it. I mean, you put it where you want the flow. So like if you want the user to connect their Twitter in a specific part of your website, you get them and you include our SDK there. And for the providers, it's super simple. Like, let's say you want Twitter, we have a provider ID for Twitter. Let's say you have GitHub, you have a provider ID for GitHub. So depending on what data that you want, all you really have to do here is kind of change the provider ID in the places that you want a different provider being integrated. Data point. And then the second level of integration is, do you want to verify the data on chain? So what I've described so far is the way for you to get the data off chain. And off-chain data itself is attested. It came from the right source, etc. But obviously, we're in Web3, and we want to make sure like there's nothing that's went wrong, and we want to verify that everything that the reclaim process is happened the right way. There's no tampering. There was no problem with the attestation. So to do that, you can send that data via the Reclaim smart contract. Now it could, and we're chain agnostic. So we have a smart contract on multiple chains. We have it on Polygon, Base, Arbitrum, Solana, Nibiru, Sui. So we have a bunch of chains, honestly. And depending on which chain you're building for, you can look at the docs. We have our docs for each of those chains. We'll have the contract address, and then you will use that contract address to essentially send that data, get it verified. So you're not putting the data on chain, but what you're getting is that the data gets verified. That what the data that you try to capture has not been tampered with, has not been, and is the right attestation.
Yeah, I mean, I like Ludium. Like, I was actually working with a developer to try to come up with like the missions that are like, let's say we make a page, and then you can verify whether you have 10 people following or like 10 people connected on your LinkedIn, and then now you get an access to the page. And then also we were trying to make a developer airdrop kind of like thing where if you made a commit to a GitHub repo, for example, if you can verify that, you get an airdrop kind of like on Solidity using the smart contract of things, that smart contract like the modules that you guys have. But I guess like just to make it clear, I guess like just to make let myself understand. So how it works right now is that there's a provider who's providing like the data entry point. So I can use whichever provider that has the entry point. Let's say someone will be a GitHub provider and someone will be a LinkedIn provider, and then as a developer I can include that data provider into my SDK and form a QR code or like a page where the data entry is possible, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, and so this is a question that I wanted to ask. I guess right now, so when I scan the QR, I need to have the Reclaim application right now. Like the way that I get the way the user can authenticate or like provide their data is through Reclaim protocol application. So I guess I just wanted to ask you this question. Maybe I don't know if this is a question that can be asked right now, but are you guys trying to make that like I guess like the sensible way in which you guys are probably updating is to try to like integrate that into the the developer website itself or something like that. So are you guys also working on that as well?
Yeah. See, very good question. I mean, that is the most important question, I think. I mean, as a user flow, that would be the most ideal case. Totally agree. But there is like quite a sense of like a lot of difficulty to doing that because what happens then is to manage security, to manage ZK proof generation, the algorithm working via a developer portal. I mean, developer's own website. It's a hard feat. So what we did is, so initially we had a proper app that you had to install in App Store, Play Store to use it. This was 6 months ago. Now you don't need an app.
Oh.
Like you don't actually need an app. We did this instant app thing where the moment you scan a QR, a pop-up will come, which is an instant app. So in that moment, like Apple or like Android devices will automatically download like a 2 megabyte worth of application on your device automatically. You open, you submit your proof, and once you submit your proof, the app gets deleted.
Oh, so interesting. Wow.
It's not a permanent app. It's an instant app that happens there for the moment. And that's the best solution we could come up with. So this way, user doesn't need, like if I'm an external user and I'm using somebody else's app, I don't need to install another app to use this app. Because, I understand that is like very bad user experience. Honestly, like it's a friction point. And we solved that through this instant app flow. Where now you can just scan, it'll automatically open a pop-up for you to do your work. So you don't really have to, install another app.
Yeah, now in that way, it looks a little bit like, auth page, like, just coming to an auth page.
Yeah,
Yeah. I mean,
pretty
although,
much. Yeah, yeah,
yeah. I mean, it's coming close to it. If not perfectly identical to it, at least you guys are
yeah. Right.
coming close to it. And
Yeah,
what that's like, I think that's really like, astonishing considering like the way in which Web3 products never really actually evolve. I mean,
yeah, yeah.
I'm not trying to diss any other product or anything, but like, especially the infra of things, like, the such it's such a fast update that you guys are doing, and like that really gives an assurance to builders like us to try to like, what the reason why we're using SDK to begin with is to try to for us to provide a better user experience for the users, and then considering that the SDK providers or like the protocols that who's working on it will be making the features that are necessary for the builders themselves, and it seems like you guys are like on top of it, and I think that's a really amazing
Yeah,
thing. Yeah.
yeah, and we'll have a couple of updates there. We're launching a new Reclaim app
Mm-hmm.
for the developers essentially to build these providers and everything. So till now, Google authentication was not possible.
Mm.
So let's say you had to log into YouTube. We can't create a YouTube proof because you need to authenticate via Google,
Mm-hmm.
and Google was not somehow they kept blocking us. They found a way like we couldn't find a way to pass through them. But that is solved. So now any provider that needs a Google auth can also be used. And second, normally in Reclaim, you have error messages that are set by our team. So if anybody faces an error, they will get the same message. Like even if you're a Web2 app or a Web3 app, it doesn't matter. The error is the same. But now you have the opportunity to set your own error messages. So if I am, let's say, in a Web2 platform, and if I want to message, the way I message my users will be different to the way I message in a Web3 platform. So what we're doing is we're allowing users to customize the error messages, the developers to customize the error messages that they send to their users. And we also have redirection possible. So till now, once a user submits a proof, user will have to manually go back to the website um, because we couldn't control the exact like where they go. But now we've done a flow where the moment a proof is submitted, they get automatically redirected to the website that they came from, which means as a user experience, you don't need the user to do anything manually, other than generating the proof.
That's very interesting, actually. Yeah, I mean, I might have to like test a few more shots to actually get into immerse into that experience and be able to come up with the idea. Because like the reason why I'm saying this is because like besides from making educational things, Ludium is education like organization, and while the login experience, I think like because we want like people to be able to prove their, let's say, degrees or GitHub,
Yeah.
like the profiles or like any other builder related like credentials that they have previously had. It's I mean it's in that way it's better than LinkedIn, right? I mean like LinkedIn, you don't really
Yeah.
have a good credential system. You just like type it in, that's it. But like now we can actually
Yeah.
prove that you have a degree and like can show it to you or something like that. But I mean that's beside the point. But like while doing that, I'm just trying to like come up with like ideas for it. I guess that capacity, I guess like the reason the reason why I'm saying this is because like I'm trying to get to the third question, because I want to ask you like why builders should use Reclaim Protocol. Like we've been covering that it's great in capacity. It has like such a great ideas to fiddle with, and then it's convenient to use, and the team's kind of like trustworthy, and like they're actually trying to help the builders. And third thing I think has a lot to do with for builders is the whether it be financial or like the opportunity for grant or like any other like instant opportunities that are out there. Could you explain a little bit more on that? I think that also like touches on you guys running the quest book and stuff.
Yeah, for sure. And that's a great question. So, just to give some context, Questbook itself is a grant management tool. We help grants for like, in Arbitrum, Compound, Dawn, XLR, Polygon, Starknet. We've worked with a bunch of folks across the top L1s, L2s, protocols with their grants. And Reclaim itself has our own grant program on Questbook, where we give growth grants. So the grants that Reclaim gives are purely growth metrics. The reason being, we want to focus on founders, not just projects. Like we don't want just 3-day projects, or like products built but never really, shipped. Like we want shipped products that are looking for users. So our grants are based on like growth. So we do have a grant program open for anybody building on Reclaim and can generate up to 10,000 proofs. We have a grant up to $10,000 per project. And the other way we can help definitely is we have a lot of good accelerator and investor connects. So when we identify that somebody's building a serious business and that they're trying to grow a company here, we do two things. One, we help them connect with the accelerators and investors. And two, if they're like really interesting, we invest them in ourselves because we believe, and we've already done this. Like we have like 2 projects that we've invested in as a company, and are helping them. So the multiple routes that we go here, but yeah, we are trying to open up as many channels, and also every once in a while in these major conferences, we have like a hacker house that we run where we host people building on Reclaim. So just now in ECC, we hosted a couple of folks in Belgium, and next probably I would say would be in DevCon. We might host a couple of people in Bangkok too.
Yeah, I mean, just to let people know that Ludium also used QuestBook app in order to, we got grant from Arbitrum, and we're actually like right now applying for the grant for the ENS one actually. And I actually looked at some of the Reclaim app, the grant that you mentioned, and metrics based, like as you said, like it really depends on like how many user acquisition that you get, that you are able to get the milestone-based grant size. So, for example, for the implementation, you get, let's say, $500 like instantly, and then let's say you get 1,000 ZK shell, which is 1,000 users, I guess. That gives you some of the thing, and then it's really interesting that you guys are. You guys are really really into the builder ecosystem, and like as you said, like direct acceleration and direct like investment. That's a very interesting feature. Plus, and I actually want to hear about like the experiences that you had, because you guys just went to ECC, and then you said that you guys are probably doing the one in Bangkok, and you were mentioning about like the builder gathering and that you guys recently had. What are some interesting like product that came out of Reclaim Protocol from the community that you've seen?
Yeah, no, that's a great question. We have our ecosystem page, which is pretty. We're trying to add as many projects that are building on Reclaim there. But one of the most, I think, a couple of interesting ones is one of our community members built for creators, where you can only join, let's say, a community slash a community where if you can prove you have over a certain amount of followers. And that was really interesting because it's like, you could create a KOL only community that is purely based on followers with proofs. So random people can't join, and you don't need to manually verify it, because like if I don't have those followers, I can't join the group. I guess I have to prove my credentials. So which is pretty cool, I would say. Definitely.
Yeah.
And then the other ones is we have a couple of. So I would say, to be honest, I also in a weird way, I'm very interested in Web2 projects that come out of building on top of Reclaim, because and we do have one big major project for all those Counter-Strike fans, folks that want to. Like if you trade your skin or item on Counter-Strike, or let's say Valorant or anything on Steam, there are marketplaces for you to buy these products. I mean, you trade between players. But in the marketplaces, the problem is they could never, if you had a problem with a transaction, they could never really do anything about it. There was no way to prove that a person did not do a transaction. But through Reclaim, you can do that. You can log into Steam on Reclaim and get access to that transaction and prove that, hey, player A sent item A to player B, and this happened. A dispute can be resolved like that. So that's like a very interesting use case.
Interesting. Okay.
So yeah, there's a bunch of different fun stuff. I think that's being very.
Yeah, I mean, the exclusive community that you're mentioning about the KOLs and stuff like that, that's kind of like, going back to what NFT community was originally setting out to do, but kind of failed because like it was just I mean, NFT in a way was trying to make an exclusive community, like the, Basie was kind of doing that, but at the same time, it became a, money show and then kind of like
Yeah.
dissipated because of that, and then now you have like some of the tangible proof that are backing up for
Yeah.
it. Like let's say you have 1,000 Twitter, or like that's kind of like that's how Instagram grew, right? Like it's an exclusive party, like partner kind of like a creators party kind of deal that really selects people based on like how much you have done, like what you have done well and stuff like that. That's a very interesting case that you're mentioning, I believe. And also like I was also looking at some of the like ecosystem projects myself, like the one that you mentioned about Steam, because like there were a few ones, like the recent, like the tweet that Reclaim Protocol showed, the showdown or something like that. That one was also like a
Yeah.
Steam, and then there's like a, Face It or something like that. Like it's kind of like a validating like how many wins you
Yeah.
have and that kind of stuff. That really seemed really really interesting in terms of like, as you were mentioning, the Web 2 as in like more of a conventional system, IT system, that this is not just for Web3. I mean, in as much as it can be utilized better in Web3 in terms of like, having a tokenomics and the digital valuation of stuff, but at the same time, this tool is something that can be useful for anyone out there, I think.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, it's essentially, in the simplest way, it's access to any data that you didn't previously have access to. So, I mean, and in all honesty, I think Web2 people care more about data than Web3. Like Web2 people, we know like how much Web2 companies are interested in data and
Right.
how they would like, do anything for data, which is where like this comes into play. But yeah, exactly. So anybody can use Reclaim to build token gated communities, um, rewards for reputation, or they could vampire attack their competitor. There's like a bunch of different things you could do.
Yeah, I mean, I really hope that more builders get to understand the intricacy of this tech. And the funny thing is, it's intricate in terms of like tech, in terms of like the possibility, but at the same time, it's so simple in like 20 lines of code in terms of implementation of things, which is the beauty of it. Like simple and intricate at the same time. Which brings to, I guess, the last question that we have for today, which is Reclaim Protocol. Sponsored Road to Global Stage in Korea, done by Ludium. What motivated you guys to do it, and what do you guys want to see as a result from this? As what do you guys expect from the participants?
Yeah, I mean, it's like two things. One, I am personally bullish on South Korean devs. It's because just for context, I have a South Korean friend, and I have a couple of I know him, and I know a couple of folks, and they're all like crazy, crazy folks. And like I would like invest in him if I had the money, if I could tokenize him. So
Bullish
that's the
on human
first.
resources.
Yeah, exactly. I'm bullish on Koreans for sure. And then yeah, and we've been. I think my team, Harsha, our founder, he's been to Seoul for Eat Seoul, I think, or one of
Oh.
those Eat conferences. And so yeah, we do know the talent that's resides there, but one of the hardest things with Korea, I would say, is the language barrier. It is not easy to get access to a market when you yourself don't know the language and they also don't know your language.
Right.
It's hard to like kind of get involved. And I guess that's where Ludium comes into play here. You guys have like shown some credibility and like open source ethos and Web3 ethos, and that's where like, all right, this seems like the perfect way for us to get somebody to represent Reclaim in South Korea, because I think there's a bunch of interesting things that people can build within South Korea using Reclaim, and and unless it's done by somebody from the community itself, I don't think we'd be the right people to do it. I think it should be someone from the community, and that's why I think like it was a great opportunity to like partner up with Medium and do this road to the global stage. And yeah, I'm very interested to see the people that come out of these courses and what they end up building.
Yeah, I mean, it's great to know that someone is bullish on Korean HR, in as much as us. We try our best, and it's very hard. But, and I mean, it's as you said, like it partially has to do with language barrier in a sense because in as much as devs do well, if not speak, at least understand English for the sake of coding. It's they are shied away from it, and they are much more prone to Korean materials to be available at least. And the other thing is like the more broadly cultural thing in the sense that Korea is a very highly competitive like society. I've been told India is kind of like similar, but in a very different context. But at the same time, Korea is a very clustered, high competitive society. So that trying something new, trying it like a open source, like a different manner, is unconventional, and it's not something that people follow through well. But I guess having all these kind of opportunities, I think, will open up the mind of people. And once unconventional becomes conventional, that's when, as you said, like one becomes 100. Like that's when the spark happen and the culture actually changes from the bottom up. And that's what we're trying to see. And I mean, as you thankfully described as a representative of Reclaim Protocol, I would love to see more builders be able to experience the capacity and be able to utilize the fullest extent from here to make better application just in general, just to make a better product, better services that be able to use this technology. Well, I guess.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I'm super excited to see what's there.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well, I guess that kind of wraps up our talk for today. Before we go, would you like to make a final remark of a sort, or would you like to, say something to the Korean builders for the last?
Yeah, no, I mean, I think there's like so much that could be done within Korea because I know there's like a bunch of different apps. Maybe I'm not sure, correct me if I'm wrong, there might be a monopoly of sorts with different companies. And this could kind of you could use this to kind of penetrate this monopoly and kind of get access to data from across the board and build interesting stuff. I mean, I just think you should build fun stuff. Like if you think something's interesting, just build it for fun. Even if it doesn't become a company, I think it would be super interesting. And I'd love to meet anybody that makes it to the global stage in Bangkok, because I might probably be there. My team will definitely be there. And so I'd love to meet them up.
Yeah, myself included. I would love to meet Reclaim Protocol team once we get to Bangkok, and we'll definitely say hi. And as you said, you guys are going to have a hacker house. We have a hacker house, so I don't know how the bridge is going to be working in terms of app chain or L2. I don't know, but something's gonna work out. So yeah, let's figure that out once we get to Bangkok. But yeah. Well, I guess that concludes our interview for today. Thank you for tuning in. Thank you, everyone. This was again. I forgot the pronunciation of your name. Street.
No worries. Srijit.
Srijit, yes, Srijit from Reclaim Protocol. We had a wonderful interview today. We're probably going to have missions and articles coming out, and this video will be translated or like the subtitled into Korean, so that more Korean builders will be able to view it. And we only have more exciting features and more exciting times to come. So tune in for the next episode and time to go. And well, again, thank you for tuning in.